Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rafael Martinez, and this will end in darkness. Good evening. I'm Rafael Martinez, and this will end in darkness. Another audio-only episode. I am currently on painkillers. I've re-sprained my ankle that I sprained in January, which was a damn near grade 3 sprain. It was just getting healed up again. Let's do January, February, March, April, May. I was coming back. I was going for the long walks. Ankle was feeling better by the day. But then when you walk down Williamsburg, you start to realize they haven't paved those streets over in a long time. So you find a hole that you already saw coming. You're like, oh, I'm not going to step into that hole because I see it. And then right before you're going to cross, a car eats the red light. So you kind of have to reset. It shocks you. And you go to cross again, your foot's going in the hole. And there I am. This sprain's not as bad as the last sprain, though. It's not swollen. It's not bruised. It's just in a lot of pain. It's more towards the left side and the back. Oddly enough, it fixed the right side. Good for me. But I make mistakes. This happened a week ago. I was feeling good yesterday. So I'm good. Everything's been going. I'm good. I can now walk barefoot a little bit. That's a mistake. So now I'm got the boot back on, and I'm taking pain medication under regs, which makes me tired. So I don't know how long this will go, and that's why I'm not in the studio, and that's why this will be an audio-only official episode. Believe me, this is not how I wanted it. I wanted to go full board again, because I had a really good segment I wanted to do, but we can't do it audio-only. But it will be worth the wait for next week. How about that? This whole episode will be about the episode we were going to do that we're going to do next week. That's an unconventional podcast approach. But I didn't want to leave you without anything. And I also, I hate missing episodes because you get out of your rhythm. It's like missing the gym. It's like the first day you don't go, you feel it. And you feel that bitter pain in your stomach. And you're like, oh, I have failed myself. I have failed my body. I have failed my ambition. I have allowed myself to succumb to some weakness. And we do not like succumbing to weakness on This Will End in Darkness. We like being the guys who exploit weakness. Because we dream of being con men. If only. If only I could find a way to be a great con man. Money would fall from the sky. You can hear the birds chirping because it's a beautiful afternoon here in New York. And that's really why I'm pissed about fucking up this ankle right now, because it's my favorite time in New York. The good weather's back. This is my favorite time to walk around because everyone's back out for the first time. Everyone's like showing off, hey, I got outfits. I've been preparing for this time. Beautiful people, men, women, they, thems, everywhere. Everyone's looking good. And I don't get to see them. This is the time we, my girlfriend, like to go on long walks and make fun of people. It's not fair. It's not fair. But hey, sometimes things happen for a reason, apparently. You ever heard that one? But I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks I'll be back and operational. What the pain is. And this is going to be great to hear me complain about my ankle for about 14 more minutes maybe. It's towards the back and the left. And that's where the heel is. And that's where weight gets distributed, baby. No bruising, no swelling, just a high ankle sprain. Is it fractured? No, I don't think so. If it was fractured, I wouldn't be able to do the walking I can do now. It'd be way more painful. Even a hairline fracture is... okay. And I definitely sprained my ankle way worse last time because had you seen that one, it was like I had 2 feet in one. It was gargantuan. And I didn't break anything there because I have strong ankles. I use skateboards. My ankle, contrary to what this podcast will have you believe, My ankle was a lot stronger back in the day, but I'm 35 now, so you don't necessarily heal back up from these things as quickly as you would like. So yeah, I'm on pain meds now, and I'm like very sleepy. Very sleepy. I hate being sleepy. I hate being on pain medication. I don't like it. I think it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine today about, like, we were talking about Superman and what's like to want to be everywhere at once, but you can't be. And I feel like me as a person, physically, I am so used to being able to be available for everyone, every event, anything. And the second I'm sick or the second I'm hurt, it's not the sick or the hurt that hurts me. It's me failing an expectation that I have in myself to be ready, willing, and able to do anything. That's something internal in me that I've got to fix. But it just becomes this thing where I just start to get down on myself. I get really angry and annoyed at things I cannot control. And just being a liability. I don't like being a liability. You know, it pisses me the fuck off. But there's nothing you can really do about it. Maybe that's the whole part of being humbled by an injury or a sickness or something, I don't know, a trying time in your life. Maybe that's the part of it you're supposed to intake. Maybe that's the important part. Hey, settle down a bit. Sit down. You know, I feel like I sat around during the pandemic. I don't want to fucking sit down again. Make up for wasted time, man. What can you do? What can you do? But I think sooner rather than later, I'll be back on my feet. It's just a matter of taking the time, and wearing the boot. To be honest, I didn't really wear the boot much the last time I got my ankle sprained. I didn't really go anywhere really, because I had just gotten the boot from Oad Arams. So in some ways, like, that worst sprain was able to heal a lot sooner than probably, would have happened if I had to go to work, in the office instead of working remote. Now I'm just at home, so you will see what happens. It's just such a dumb sprain. It's so dumb. And it comes at the worst time when you're overcoming the last one. But I don't know. I think I'll be fine. This ankle will probably never be the same, though. I think this ankle is going to give me... I feel like as you get older, there's always a one body part that will inevitably fail you at all times. And this ankle's going to be it. This is the motherfucker I'm going to deal with the rest of my entire life. Like, and the thing is, doctors, they just stop fixing things. They're like, yeah, you can't fix that. It's over. Though they'll probably just try to put screws in there at some point. And go, does that make it feel better? It's like, no, there's screws in there. I'm hyper conscious about the screws. But this is going to be the ankle now. Like, whenever I try to do sports, skateboarding might be out of the question now. Because this is my kickoff foot. The end of my skateboarding career. Great. How many more careers can I lose? Let's take count. I think this podcast is all I got left. Nice. Let's see how long that lasts. But I think it's all about, I think as men, we deal with that. We deal with feeling useless sometimes and not having the ability to perform at a level we would like. But at the same time, I do think there is kind of like 90s satanic panic about masculinity. Like guys like Fresh and Fit, people like the Whatever podcast. Like there's these podcasts out there that are doing these quote unquote dating shows. And they're all about high value men trying to find high value women while spending a majority of the podcast just shitting on women. And though you've seen them before, it's two guys, maybe three, with like 4 or 5 other women, and there's too many mics, there's too many people, too much chit chat, and they pick the dumbest fucking people you could get to represent the women's side of things. And they do it purposely too. Like they pick out these models who clearly don't have a lot going on up there. No offense, 'cause I know there's probably some model out there probably reads a book, but they always pick these Instagram thoughts who are going to clearly give them the answer they know they're gonna get. All about, oh, well, I do me. I need a high value man. If he's not making, six figures, I don't want to talk to him. Like, they know these kind of stereotypical cunts that they bring on this show are gonna do that. They know it, and it's exploitive to me because to me, to exploit someone's ignorance or to exploit someone's character flaw that you disagree with, so you can beat them up for 5 hours, because that's how long some of these things go. They're live streams, so people watch them because they're like, oh, anything can happen on the live stream, and for the most part, they do, because when you're having a 5-hour conversation, you get worn down. You get worn the fuck down after a while, after hearing the same repeated points. And then the girls just come off dumber and dumber because they don't have anything like in the tuck. And they're going against guys who've been preparing for that podcast to just obliterate them. And what I've noticed is it's a lot of dudes who are just red-pilled. And the red pill community has this weird thing where they think masculinity is under attack, where it kind of isn't. The wrong kind of masculinity is. Is that wrong to say? Is that wrong to even think? Apparently for those guys it is. It's a kind of a satanic panic for men. And it's so funny for young conservative men. A satanic panic that it's all over for men. Oh my God, women have rights. What are we going to do? That's the devil. Just like rock and roll is the devil. Just like, oh my God, girls wearing things that show their ankles, that's the devil. Whore, how dare she? It's just the new satanic panic. And it's kind of cute. It's kind of cute. Because all these young conservative dudes are good-looking dudes. Objectively good-looking dudes. The white ones, though, look like they could be in the Nazi youth or they were Nazi officers. That's something I've noticed. That a lot of the hardcore young conservative dudes who are talking about bringing back Christian masculinity, you can easily see them in an SS uniform and go, that makes sense. That's the the part that gets me every time. It's like I can imagine it. I watch it and I imagine it. And I'm like, that guy would have definitely killed quite a few Jews if given the opportunity. Because that's how they come off. And then, I remember I was watching this guy, Destiny. I don't really deal in the Twitch world, so when I find out about a Twitch guy, it's always brand new. That's the old man part of me that refuses to acknowledge new technology. But Destiny, who this liberal dude, not a hyper liberal though, he disagrees with liberals as well, but he's a guy who's in a polyamorous relationship. Him and his wife seem to be doing very fine and very happy. Every time I've seen them on anything, they seem to be very happy. And they go on these podcasts, and the first thing people ask, and they have an open relationship, so the first thing people ask is like, how do you feel about her fucking a bunch of dudes, dude? Like, how many bodies does she have? And it's like, wait, what? It's like, that's the first thing you want to know? Like, you want to drive a wedge in my relationship with that? Because clearly I'm fine with it, but it shows more about the guy asking the question. They are hyper fixated on the woman having a choice in sleeping with who she wants. And that's, Patrice O'Neal said this, right? Patrice O'Neal always said you cannot have an attachment to that body because no matter who you meet, they're not going to be a virgin. That's just what it is. And if you have attachment to that body, it's not going to work. And a lot of these young Christian conservative dudes have an attachment to the body. When that's not what you should be attached to. It should be the spirit. It should be the mind. It should be their personality. What do they believe in? Do they share the same values as you? Like something that's real. But of course, they'll tell you the body is real, it's flesh, but yet they'll also argue that the spirit's real, but they're not paying attention to the spirit, they're paying attention to the flesh. That's the hypocrisy in it. And it's kind of brilliant how it's risen up. How dudes have become holier than thou and the Puritan preacher's back. Who thought that was going to happen? The 90s were all about killing the Puritan preacher. So was the early 2000s, but he's back for the 2020s, baby. But I told you that we won't stop. That I told you that we won't stop, you know? And that's my issue with those podcasts. It's like, in one respect, they'll even say things like, even Steven Crowder's on this thing now, and he's a bitch, you know, because he did that 3-minute video of him abusing his wife that came out, and just sounding like a complete and utter fucking bitch, you know, complaining about like her wanting to use the car. She's pregnant with twins at the time, by the way, and her wanting to go do, you know, the groceries. But he's like, but what if I can't go to the gym? What if I can't visit my friends? Did you do your wifely duties? I'm sorry, when a woman's pregnant with twins, the wifely duties kind of go out the window. Your focus should be taking care of her. Call me old-fashioned. Call me a liberal cuck, too, apparently. But that's also it, too. It's like women, they have this belief that the subservient nature of women when they are in love should be the basic set mode. Women, from my perspective, or at least from my experience, have only ever been subservient when they find someone who's worth being subservient to. And even then, they still have requirements to earn that. And you still have to earn it. You don't just get a girl and she does whatever you want her to do. You have to, it's a give and take. She's going to need things. You have to provide those things. You too are going to have to be subservient from time to time. That's kind of how it works. Or maybe subservient's the wrong word. Maybe give and take is the right concept. But these young conservative dudes just don't get it because they're watching men, quote unquote, lose power in a society that, to be honest, they ran all this time. We had it all this time. It was fun. It was a cool run. But I think there's this control over, it's going to sound funny if I say the P word, this control over pussy that they really want to have. It's something they can't control, but it's something they want. And that's the issue. If they can beat down the woman's mentality, spirit, and mind to control the one thing he wants, then they're happy-go-lucky. And now you have like the tried cats now, or tried calves now, the traditional Catholics that are coming out. And now it's quote-unquote rebellious to be a tried calf now. And now you have all these like kind of like tried calf influencer women who were like, you know, I have no problem being subservient to my man. Like, I have his dinner cooked when he comes home, and I rub his feet, and I do all that. And it's like, oh, cool. So you're down with slavery. Good for you. You want to be a slave. Have fun with that. How's that working out for you when he beats you eventually? Because that's kind of what happens. You know, the religious ones do tend to be the ones that beat their wives the most. It's kind of how it happens. And like then when you challenge young conservatives with that, they're like, well, that's not true. Like, we're not degenerates. It's like, no, you are a degenerate because when a woman wants a divorce, your first thing is, oh, well, she's giving up. You got to try harder. Try harder? Like, at some point, when is a black eye too much? You know? You get these guys on these podcasts, and when you bring up the statistics of why women divorce people, or men particularly, and how much abuse plays a role in it, they almost just don't want to hear it. Oh, that's such a small, minute number. It's like, yeah, but 23% is a lot. And that's only the physical abuse we know about. We don't know about the mental abuse or the emotional abuse. And then they scoff at that because it's not real abuse to them. No one's hurt. There is no bruise. Even though those men clearly have a bruise because they're fucking choosing to control women. It's kind of amazing. It's a work of art, really. You know, and to me, dating's not difficult. It really isn't difficult. What's difficult are things, the outside influences, money, you know, moving out, getting married, things you have to get to make the next stage of the relationship happen. Those things are hard, but loving somebody, being good to somebody. See, it's interesting because me and my mom were talking about this one time. Just because I remember back in the day, people go, "Oh, he's so good to me," though. I don't give a fuck. Being good to someone is bare minimum to me. Being nice to them, treating them well, reciprocating the love they give you, that's bare minimum. That to me, if you're not doing that, then what the fuck's the point? You shouldn't be there then. Bye. There's no reason to stick around. That's bare minimum. And for far too long, women have been told to, deal with the bare minimum and accept the bare minimum. But women now dare to ask for something a bit more. It's a problem. Now, I don't disagree that there are some women who take it too far. Like, if you're not 6 foot this, have like 4 cars, a Bugatti and shit like that. Yes, those women clearly have a really dumb way of looking at love and relationships and being, cause I think everyone deep down wants to be a power couple. Like, I think it's kind of like Rock Nation brunch. Like, whenever the Rock Nation brunch happens, Twitter is like alive with all these people who own LLCs with no business and nothing's happening with that LLC. They just have one and just so you can say they're in business. And they wear all these expensive suits and all these expensive clothes, and they go on all these trips that you don't find out that they're flying by Southwest and they're staying in an Airbnb that someone's gotten murdered in. But look, they're in this locale and they look good doing it. So they have to uphold this kind of gimmick, this kayfabe that we always talk about kayfabe on here. Everyone's working a gimmick. So the Rock Nation brunch kids all work a gimmick. And they all want to be jet flying, limousine riding, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a guns. And they all want to flex. They want the rings. They want the suits. They want the cool vacations. They want you to think they're fucking living it. Because for them, they have nothing else. They have nothing else to offer. Think about how many of those influencers you've seen get interviewed. The interview is only good for the little like TikTok clip you get where they say something profound. But before you get to that, it's like an hour and a half of horse shit. But that's kind of the thing of it. People's perception of what a power couple is so fucking flawed. Because it all revolves around what assets do you own and how can we expand those assets. Where the real power couple thing is who can you build those things with from the ground up. To me, a power couple is not impressive if I merge my assets with somebody else when they're already balling, I'm already balling, we're putting it together. It's a no-brainer. We didn't work for it. To me, a real power couple starts at the bottom when, like George Carlin and his wife, like she went on the road with him. Like she fucking supported him in the hardest part of being a stand-up where you had to go traveling. They pick up the kid and go. And that's the thing about it. Like, that to me is a power couple because she understood the vision or at least believed in the vision. And look what came out of it. Now, I don't believe it's going to happen for everyone. I don't think it's possible for everyone. But I do think for some it is. And to me, that's the true definition of a power couple. And that's the ones I respect. No offense to Jay-Z and Beyonce, but that's a no-brainer right there. She's Beyonce, he's Hove. At what point were they going to fail? At what point were they going to fail? 0 point. It's not that impressive. It's not that impressive. And then you have, on these podcasts, they talk about how, especially with Fresh and Fit, where they were talking about, well, you should be running through these hoes until you get your money up. Then when you get your money up, that's when you find your wife. And it's like, okay, so the median age of a successful startup, a guy who owns one, it's about his 40s. That's when you have your real first successful business because you lived a life. The idea of the young entrepreneur is such a myth. It only works 2%, 1% of the time. Everyone, and they say the older you get, the odds are higher for you that your business is going to be successful because you lived a life. You have experience. You've been through some shit. So let's take that for instance. So you end up 40 years old. You have a successful business. You've been hustling, but you've been running through hoes all this time. Haven't really made a connection with anybody. So you know how to get hoes, but you don't know how to get a wife. So now you're going to spend the next 4 or 5 years figuring that out because you're going to make plenty of mistakes with that one because all you know is how to look at women as hoes. You have to retrain your mind. So now, by the time you're 50 maybe, you'll finally have the wife. 51, 52, you have the kid. By the time you're 72, the kid's 20, so you don't even get to enjoy some of the adulthood with that child. All because you were getting your money up running through these hoes because a podcast told you. Because that's what a high value man does. And that's kind of the flaw in all of it. It's that the idea of the high value man takes away all humanity from the man and brings him down to a base level of acceptance, or, not acceptance, of value is money, numbers. When that's not just what a man is. There's so many more things than that. So there is no masculinity crisis. There isn't. Far from. I would say there's a crisis in the sense of, men are less likely to finish college now. But I think that's solely economical. I think, for men, we can go into construction, we can be plumbers, we can join unions, we can go to trade schools. When it comes to the physicalities of work, we're more prone to that. So college, you kind of don't need college for those things. You can just go to a trade school and learn those things. And to me, that's where the issue is, affordability. It's not that men don't care about education anymore. We've moved on. We've realized what society needs. There's plenty of motherfuckers with a college degree that got no job. Plenty. But I know the plumbers I know, they're working. They're always working. Good economy, bad economy, left, right economy don't mean shit. They working because they have a skill. We're transitioning to a skill-based economy again. That's what it is. But there is this interesting motif that is traveling around about a masculinity crisis, and I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Now, do I think there's some bitch-ass dudes around? Of course. Because we're in soft times, man. Like, I realize it all the time when I talk to, pro wrestling fans. Like, when you hear about backstage fights and arguments, they're like, well, how could they act like that? It's like, dude, pro wrestlers been fighting backstage for years. They've been biting each other. I mean, fuck. Psycho Sid stabbed Arn Anderson with a pair of scissors. And they went to go perform the next week. That's wild behavior. But to me, it's like I understand level of aggression when it comes to men. Like, I know dudes who fought. I fought a lot of dudes when I was a kid. But I feel like there's a new passive aggressiveness that dudes do now. That's, to me, kind of whack. Like, they don't really confront things anymore. It's just subtweets. It's just, I'll talk around you, but not about you. It's weird. And I feel like that's a common thing that's happening within the generation as a whole. But men particularly just are not confrontational anymore. And to me, that's a problem. I don't think it's a masculinity problem. I think it has nothing to do with masculinity. I think it's just dudes I just think nerds won. The problem is the nerds won. The nerds should have never won because the nerds just don't defend themselves. They don't fight for anything, really. They intellectually argue, but they don't make movements. They don't. And because they're safer, quote unquote, and I'm putting quote unquote because I would argue the nerds are more likely to be Jeffrey Dahmer than the muscular guy at the gym. The muscular guy at the gym, moron, for sure. We'll give you that. Not saying all men at the gym are morons, but I know quite a few. But, moron. But the Jeffrey Dahmers, they tend to be the nerds, the incels, the ones who sit at home and don't do nothing. Those are the guys you gotta worry about. The little passive aggressive bitches. Those are the dudes you gotta worry about. And that's why I think the nerd culture should have never took over, because it took away a level of confrontation that I think men need, kind of. You need to be able to come to Google and, yo, you're fucking talking about it. What's up? What do you want to do about it? I think that level of aggression is necessary. But now everyone's just, passive aggressive, They don't want to be wrong, so they don't commit to anything. They're soft. And the thing is, that's where me and those podcasts will probably agree. That I do think there is a softening of men, but I don't think it's masculinity that's the problem. I think the wrong kind of masculinity has forced a lot of men to reject masculinity in favor of something more androgynous, something that's more acceptable, something that's more like, well, girls are into that now, and if I can just be like, kind of a girl, kind of effeminate, then maybe that's cool. Maybe that'll get them to like me. I think men should be men still. Just a tad. Just a tad. Root for a sports team. Get dirty. Chug Bud Lights, man. Yeah, I said Bud Light. Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney was on a can that was given to her. Like that's the part that always gets me on Dylan Mulvaney. It's like they didn't even sell that can. It was just given to her. She had a private collection. I would like a private collection of Bud Lights. I don't think I represent the Bud Light base, though. I'm kind of more intellectual than the Bud Light base. That's liberal elitism right there. I don't give a damn. Call it what it is. And I don't think anyone should hate Dylan Mulvaney for being a transgender. I think that's really mean. I think she should have the right to be whatever she wants to be, and people got to deal with it. What you should hate her for is being really fucking annoying, if we're being honest. Have you seen her content? She's annoying. Legitimately. 100%. I can't get past a few seconds. She's just annoying. And she's also kind of stereotypical girling it. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I saw the NCAA thing she did. Like, oh my God, March Madness is coming up. I just thought it was somebody's time in the month. It's like, no, like, women know sports. Like, I hate that idea that women don't know. They do. They're around it. Women play sports like that. So that's where I get a little annoyed with Dylan Mulvaney. I feel like she's stereotyping sometimes. I think women know more about sports than they're given credit for. I just have a high respect for women and what they know about. And if they don't know about it, they ask because they're inquisitive people. That's what I like about women. They ask questions. Now, sometimes they could stand to not ask too many questions, but they're doing the best they can because they want to be of use and value. That's something I like about women, to be fair. They, as partners, are really great because they will ask you every question in the book to know exactly what it is they can do for you. Because they want to get it done right then and there. It's like, what do you need right now? How can I do that for you? We're a guy, we see a problem and we just diagnose it, and that's what we're doing. We sometimes may not understand why we're doing it, but we know that's a problem that's got to be fixed. I'm going to do it. And we don't do it gently sometimes. We don't. We sometimes give advice too harshly because that's what we're used to. That's the nail. I've got a hammer. Fixing it. Women have a bit more finesse. But you're never going to experience that if you're telling women to be subservient to you. It's not going to happen. Sorry, red pill dudes. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I feel like it's interesting because I think the red pill dudes probably have a sad origin story. There probably was maybe not the best female that came into their life and fucked their shit up. I can see that. I think every man has the one female, the Darth Vader of your universe that really fucked your shit. I think every man has that. But the key is, what do you do when you experience it? Some dudes, apparently, they turn into fucking incels. They turn into guys who are just mean and mad at the whole fucking world. Like, there was that guy recently who left the incel community. He had got a girlfriend. They had, did the thing. And he was like, hey, I'm out. And they were pissed. He was one of the biggest names in the incel community. He's like, yeah, I'm out. I got a girlfriend now. I'm happy. And they were pissed about it. Like, imagine how upset you have to be that a dude you're cool with got laid. And it's all because you're not getting laid. That's nuts. There has never been a guy on this earth who I saw getting laid or getting chicks that I was against. Not at all, because I know how difficult it is. A good man knows how hard it is for a man to be charming and all this other stuff. You know, we're dumb, we're gorillas, so it's hard. It's difficult. So when someone succeeds, I want to applaud that man. Good for him. Pete Davidson is a weird looking motherfucker, but every time he gets a hot Hollywood starlet, I support it because ugly guys need stuff too. Maybe the incels should improve their stock. See, that's the thing about something Tim Dillon said his dad told him this, and it's 100% true. Never overvalue your worth. And too many of these incel dudes overvalue their worth. They think because they're quote unquote good dudes and, you know, they open doors for people and shit like that and let people walk all over them, that everyone should just fucking love them. No. Maybe you're not attractive. Listen, we got to start bringing back, a little bit of shaming. Some motherfuckers are just ugly. Some people just ugly. I'm sorry. Some people are just physically not attractive. You can't do anything about that, particularly incels. You can't do anything about that. That's just how life works. I wasn't always attractive. I'm still kind of not attractive, if you really think about it. I have an interesting look. Kind of a Ben Affleck with a drinking problem kind of look, which kind of just made me a Ben Affleck kind of look. And I want to make something clear. I love Ben Affleck, by the way. This is not an insult to Ben. Just let's call a spade here, Betty. But, some people just uggos. They just don't look good. Plastic surgery exists. Was that mean? Yeah, that's kind of mean. I'm not going to take it back, though. I'm gonna stay on that hill. Who listens to this podcast anyway, other than about 300 and something people a week? But if you are someone who is not physically attractive listening to this podcast, I want you to know right now, we can help you. There are people that can help you, okay? Just dress better, Get a new haircut. Work out a little bit. Not a lot. I'm not asking you to be muscular. I'm not asking you to be Joe Rogan, but go outside. Take a walk. You could lose mad pounds just walking. I used to walk about 5-6 miles a day. Lost 20 pounds that way. Really hoping I can get back to that with this fucking ankle being over with. So that's my excuse for being fat and ugly right now. My ankle is what's keeping me from doing it. I'd be so much sexier if my ankle was healed. We all have our journey. We all have our kryptonite, and my kryptonite seems to be just the natural motion of walking. Who would have thunk it? I used to walk miles. Dude, Jesus Christ ain't got shit on me with the amount of miles I've walked. I could have been one of the apostles, how much I fucking walk. And I would have done it in the same exact fucking sandals if given the opportunity. But nope. For whatever reason, because things happen for a reason, the Lord has taken my ankle from me. Again. And I'm going to find out why. It will be revealed to me. Maybe I just need my Christian masculinity to come through. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe I got to start reading the Bible more. I feel like we're just in an era where all the youth pastors have gotten older and realized they weren't cool in their churches. So now they have to go on YouTube and find people that think they're cool. And because men are just... we are just in such a trash place right now, I think. I defend men from time to time, but I think we bought the hype. I think when the fear-mongering started and, they want to take away everything from us and they want us to be gay. It's no one's asking you to be gay. No one's asking you to be fucking effeminate. Just be cool, man. Just understand something you didn't understand before. Take a look at the society around you and make some choice decisions about how you want this society to be. I don't see a problem with that one bit. I don't think it's an attack on my masculinity to admit that men have had it pretty good. You know, at the time, it was probably warranted because of what men are, and it takes savagery to build what we have. That's the sad part about it. Capitalism rewards savagery, and men are particularly savage. So now here we are, 21st century. We've now come to learn how far savagery can take us. Well, how can we change that? How can we change what masculinity means? How can we change what men mean? I'm not talking about in terms of gender and stuff like that. I'm talking about like what men have traditionally thought of their value. It's not always physical. Now it needs to be a bit more cerebral. Balance it out, I say. I'm someone who does that all the time. I would argue that I'm very intellectual, very in touch with my feelings, but I'm also an aggressive dude. I still love combat sports. I still love battling, you know? Like, I'm still into it. See, that's another thing. I'll never get to go back to fucking jiu-jitsu now. I'll be constantly afraid of my ankle. It makes me sad because I love my ankle. I want my ankle to be better. What can you do? What can you do? I think it's just we're in a satanic panic, and none of these dudes are asking, hey, what if I'm the problem? And why should someone be subservient to me? What book am I using that we don't even know who really wrote it, to be fair? Am I using that book to tell women what to do? That they can't divorce anybody and they have to accept abuse? Because that was another thing that happened on one of these podcasts. They were like, what if a woman's getting abused? Well, sometimes you have to endure. And when I heard that, my brain exploded. You have to endure? You have to endure? Why do we, as a fucking male species, feel that women should have to endure abuse? That's fucking retarded. And I think that's the perfect time to use that word, even though we're not allowed to anymore. I think it was a guy named like John Hosgood. Like he was on the Whatever podcast, and he was like, you gotta endure. And it was just weird because you can tell he was just being an asshole. But I would argue he's probably abusing somebody at home if that just so comfortably came out of his mouth that way. So this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the rubber meets the road. In the next few years, in this next generation of men we're raising, what are we raising them to be? What are we raising them to be? Better? More of the same? Or are we going to raise them on this red pill shit? Because that red pill shit is only going to come back to bite us in the ass. I don't think it has to be either or. I don't think it has to be high value men over high value women or any of that shit. I just think it's all about meeting the right man and the right woman. If you're looking for something outside your tax bracket, God bless you. Because you better have something to offer. And that goes for men and women. Like, if you're looking for a rich dude, you better have something to offer that do other than looks. Because they do get bored and they do move on. If you're looking for a rich cougar, you better be entertaining. You better be energetic. Can't lounge around. She wants you to make the moves. All these dating podcasts, but not a single fucking person understands the whole concept. All these dating podcasts. And he's just crazy about it, right? They exist because people still watch the content. And they know how bad it is. It's become like Love and Hip Hop now. Like, they know how bad it is. But they're going to watch anyway because they want to see it devolve into chaos. There is a vested interest in keeping men and women as enemies. There's a vested interest. Too many people make too much money off of it. And if men and women got to a place where they understood each other, whew, those in power, those who make money off of it, gone, done. But there'll always be money in it. You gotta keep the division going. It's not even just men and women. It's in race. It's in economic brackets. It's everything. Division creates cash. Matter of fact, division creates dividends. That's what it is. That's what it all is. Are you getting caught out there? Are you allowing yourself? Well, that was a good burp. Are you allowing yourself to be put in a situation where you are divided from a group you would normally work with for the sake of someone else's dividends? Oh, my tummy's growling. It's time to eat. You know? And that's what I think it is. Division creates dividends, man. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. And I am normally someone who's all about it because I'll be honest. I think we kind of do benefit a little bit here off the division and dividends kind of thing. But I think what we do here is we try to tell you that the divisions don't even matter. They're fun. They give you something to do, but they kind of don't matter because someone's making money off you, off your anger, off your spite. You should probably do something about that and like not let them get away with it. That's it. That's really it. That's really it. Well, that was interesting, at the very least. Kind of fun, I think. Did you enjoy it? I'm fine with it. But next week I will drag myself into the studio and we will have our normal podcasting fun. But I like the last episode, R.5, and I like this one. I think we need these from time to time. Because when it's just audio, you can kind of just flow, you know, and just let your thoughts roll. Where when it's video, there's more of a tendency for me to have to sell it more. But I feel like these are kind of fun because I can just flow out, have a thought, you know. Radio is what I originally wanted to be in before it was film, so maybe I'm going back to what I always loved. There is a child screaming out this window, and I don't know if this child's in trouble, but I do know it's none of my business. So, and even if I did try to help that kid, I think we all know how that one would end.